Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you back to my YouTube channel, and presenting before you this tutorial is Hampir Kliman. So today we'll be looking at radical functions, how to plot radical functions, finding the domain and the range of a radical function. So here is a question. The question simply states that we sketch the graph of each of the following functions involving radicals on the same coordinate system as that of f of x, and find the domain and range. Okay, so how do you go about solving this? How do you sketch? How do you know how to do this? It's very simple. So we have the first question. The first question is f of x equal to the root of the radical of 3 minus x. So the first thing to do is to get what is inside and equate it to x. Okay, so when we solve for x, this is going to be negative 3. Then at the end we are going to get positive 3. So our x coordinate is positive 3. But when you look at this equation, there is an equation which I will want you to know. F of x is equal to the radical of x plus a. In this case, your y value is simply a. But when you look at the equation, our y value is 0. So in this case, we will take our y value as 0. Now, there is also another thing that I want you to take note. The radical, which is the square root, is also represented by a y value. And then the x, which is inside, is representing your x axis. Okay, you need to take note of that. What do I mean by this? So to sketch this, I have these coordinates. Okay, so sorry, my x was 3. So I can say that my x is x comma y. So my x was 3, my y was 0. So I can locate where this is going to be my 3, this is going to be my 0. So this is the point that I am talking about. But how is my graph going to be like? Since the radical is positive, we have a positive radical. It's positive, but our x is negative. Okay, so x is negative. Okay, so radical represented by y, x representing the x axis. How are we going to plot our graph? So since the radical is positive, the radical is representing the y-axis. This is going to be our y-axis. This is going to be our x-axis. So since the radical is positive, we will be moving in the positive y-axis upward. But since x is negative, we'll be moving in the negative axis like that. Henceforth, our graph is going to be this kind. It should be moving upward in the y, but moving on the negative in the x. So henceforth, our graph is going to come out like this. Okay, so negative in the x, but positive in the y. Henceforth, our domain, since our x was positive, since our x was actually negative, our domain is coming from negative infinity all the way to 3 included. But our range, since the radical was positive, our range is simply coming from 0 all the way to positive infinity because it's moving upward. That's how you find the first one. On the second one, I'll be quick. So the second one, they're saying f of x is equal to Okay, so this is going to be 2 minus, then this is going to be this is going to be this is going to be negative x minus 2. So negative x minus 2. So we do the same thing, we equate what is inside to x. Okay, then we find for x. So this is going to be positive 2 over negative 1 over negative 1. So when you calculate for this, you find that your x value is going to be negative 2. What is our y value? In this case, from the equation, f of x is equal to root of x plus a. In this case, our y value is simply 2. So our y value is going to be 2. And this is just x comma y. So this is going to be negative 2. And this is going to be a 2. So we can plot that. Okay, so let's try to plot this. So if we try to plot that, we are going to find that we are going to have negative 2 here, and then we are going to have a 2 here. Henceforth, our point is going to be somewhere here. So we're going to have our point here. So now, how do we know how the graph is going to come out? The radical is negative because of this, so we say y representing the radical is negative, and then x is representing this guy. This guy is also negative. So in the y-axis, we shall be moving on the negative side, so it will be moving downward, and then in the x-axis it will be moving in the negative x coordinate, so it will be moving like that. So how is our graph going to be? It should be moving downward, but in the negative x-axis. So if this is our point, so we should be moving downward in the negative, but on the x-axis. This is how it's going to come out. Henceforth, our graph is going to be this kind. How do we find the domain? To find the domain, look at x. Our x from the testing points, which are these guys, our x was negative inside, henceforth it's coming from negative infinity all the way to the value which we have, which is negative 2 included. The range is going to come all the way from, let's see, the range is coming from, because this is negative, so it's also coming from negative infinity all the way to 2 included. That is just how you calculate this particular question. Let's try to see 3. C is very simple. You can use the same concept and it will give you the answer. Okay, let's try to calculate for, okay, this guy is also the same as this guy. Okay, so we can try it out. D is saying f of x is equal to what do we have? Negative 3 plus, and then we are going to have x plus, this is going to be x plus 2. We get what is inside, we equate to 0. Then we say that this is going to equal negative 2. And then our y value is simply negative 3. So our coordinates is simply x, y like that. This is going to be negative 2. This is going to be negative 3. So to plot this, by now, we should know how to plot this. If this is 0, then I can have negative 2 somewhere here. Then I can have negative 3 somewhere here. So if I was to plot this, my point is going to be here. how do I know how the graph is going to come out like? I know that my y is representing the radical, and I know that x is representing the x inside. So you can just say x. Is my radical positive? Yes. So I expect in the y, it should be moving upward. Is my x negative? My x is positive also. So I expect it to be moving, so I expect it to be moving in the positive x-axis. So it should be moving in this direction. So if that is my point, in the y, I should be moving upward, but in the x, I should be moving on the positive direction. So my graph is going to come out like this. Henceforth, it is this particular graph. My domain, since x was positive, so it will be the smallest number, starting from the smallest number, which was -2, all the way to positive infinity. My range is going to be a number which is going to start from -3 all the way to positive infinity also. That is just how you calculate this particular question. We go to the third question. Let me solve f. We see how simple it's going to be. You can try out the rest. F is a function f of x equal to, we have been taught that this is going to be -1, then -3 square root of, this is going to be x minus 1/2. You get what is inside. After the end of this video, you should be able to solve almost everything on this. So you're going to get positive 1/2. Your y value is simply -1. This -3 is simply telling you how you will be expanding the function. Okay, so I'm going to plot this. So where is my x? It can be here, so this is going to be 0.5, and then I can have -1 somewhere here. So to plot this, I will have this particular point here. Okay, I'm going to have this particular point here, like that. So after having this point, was my radical positive? Let me test it. Why is it being represented by the radical? X is represented by the x value itself, the letter. X was positive, y was negative because of this -3. It was affecting the radical. So we should be moving upward in the y, but positive on the x. So if this was our point, our graph was going to come out in this direction. So we shall be, from here, this is going to be this graph. What is the domain? The domain, since x was positive, is going to come out from the lowest number, which was 1/2, all the way to positive infinity. Our range is going to be the smallest number because this guy was negative, so it will start from -infinity all the way to the smallest, to the largest number that we have in the y, which is simply, because this is going to be x, this is going to be y, so this is going to be 1/2, this is going to be -1, so this is going to be -1 included. That is just how you solve radical functions. If you find this video helpful, consider subscribing and also hitting the like button. Thank you so much.